Good morning and welcome. It's a sing-along. Welcome to my morning. Welcome to my day. I'm the one responsible. I made it just this way. I made myself some pictures, see what they might bring. I think I made it perfectly. I wouldn't change a thing. Here's your part. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la. Pretty easy, huh? Welcome to my happiness. You know it makes me smile. It pleases me to have you here, if for a little while we open up these spaces, try to break some chains. If the truth is told, they'll never come again. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la. Oh, I know you'll be braver next time around. Welcome to our evening, the closing of our day. You know I could try a million times, never find a better way to tell you that I love you. And all these songs I play are for thanking you for allowing me into your hearts today. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la. Welcome to our morning, welcome to our day. We're the ones responsible, we made it just this way. Made ourselves some pictures to see what they might bring. I think we made it perfectly, we wouldn't change a thing. La la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la la la. Big ending, here we go. La la la. Nice job.
Maybe God keeps me here like this to stumble a little. If I were to suddenly just turn into light, blinding myself even to the most precious and necessary illusions, then what hand could hold my own? Where would rest a weary head? What good use for warm hearts, for hot tears? Why eyes to see? Why arms to open? What love family to fall into? Oh, the best dancers know what grace every stumble contains. I hope that you captured the wisdom of that insight. Oh, the best dancers know what grace every stumble contains. Thank you, Kathy Bolton, our Minister of Music, for starting us off on such a wonderful, up-tempo, energetic. And thank you, M. Claire, for engaging us so quickly with the wisdom and insight of your wonderful poetry. And thank you, all of you, for your decision and your choice to join us again here today and to allow yourself the opportunity to explore with us this interesting experience that we call relationship. I'm going to begin by just reading a little bit more from chapter 8 of this book, to give us a little insight into what sometimes happens in relationship. No matter how many people profess their love for us, sometimes it's not quite enough. So this isn't true of everyone, but it has been true for enough people. And it's true in my experience, the experience of my early life. So let me continue reading. Often we sit around trying to figure out how other people could love us. So we embark on a campaign to help them to prove it, or to maybe even make them prove it. We might ask them, not only do you love me, but can you show me you love me by things that you do? We may even ask them to start changing their behaviors as kind of a demonstration of their love for us. And then if they finally come to a place where they have proven that they love us, and if we can actually believe that they really do love us, then we begin at once to worry about how long we can hold on to their love. So in order to hold on to their love, we begin changing our behaviors. And thus, two people literally lose themselves in a relationship. They get into a relationship hoping to find themselves, and they lose themselves instead. The losing of the self in a relationship is what causes most of the bitterness in many of those couplings. Two people join together in a partnership, hoping that the whole will be greater than the sum of its parts, only to find that it's less. They feel less than when they were single, less capable, less able, less exciting, less attractive, less joyful, less content. This is because they are less, because they've given up so much of who they really are in order to be in and to stay in their relationship. Relationships were never meant to be this way, yet this is how they are experienced by more people than you might guess. Why? It's because people have lost touch with, if they ever were in touch with, the purpose of their relationship. When you lose sight of each other as sacred souls on a sacred journey, then you cannot see the purpose, the reason behind all relationships. Let me repeat that one particular sentence again. It might be the most important sentence you've ever heard about relationships. It says, when you lose sight of each other as sacred souls on a sacred journey, then you cannot see the purpose, the reason behind all relationships. The soul has come to the body, and the body to life for the purpose of evolution. You are evolving. You are becoming. And you are using your relationship with everything to decide what you are becoming. This is the job you came here to do. Your personal relationships are therefore the most important elements in this process. So, when we decide to use our relationships for the purpose for which they were intended, things become exciting, joyful, and fulfilling. And fulfilling, we don't feel somehow less than we were before our relationship. We feel more. We feel ourselves finally blossoming, but not because of what another person has given us, except in the sense that they've given us the opportunity for us to give us. the chance to experience ourselves in the next grandest version of the next greatest vision we ever held about who we are. That's the magic and the secret of relationship. Well, welcome here this morning. You know, we had a friend who we were going to talk to first from London this morning, afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in London. But I don't see, and honestly, I'm looking for her name with her hand raised, and I don't quite see that person. I got to be honest with you. I've forgotten her first name. Should have written it down, but I was a bad boy. I didn't write down her name. I thought it started with A, but I don't see. I know I would recognize the name if I saw it, and I don't see that person with their hand raised. So maybe they're not here yet. How many of you remember what her name was? If you remember,
if you scroll down your participant list, you can actually look at the A's right below the raised hand.
I see Anna Maria Zabrini, but I don't. That doesn't feel like the name.
It looks like she raised her hand.
There's Anita in London now.
Me, Anita.
Yeah, I see now.
Anita.
I see you now, Anita. I see you now have your hand raised. Okay. I'm glad we found you, Anita. Good afternoon. I know it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When we were going to call on you yesterday, it was 11 o'clock at night. So I'm glad,
yes.
But where you are, so I'm glad that we have you in the middle of your day. How you doing, Anita?
Well, I'm just been following your talk yesterday. Very useful tips. I would like that you remind me about well, first of all, I'm sure you noticed my Spanish accent, so I'm not an English person.
Notice the Spanish accent. I could hardly even tell. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm talking that, yes, I'm a Spanish speaker, so yeah, my English could be not very, very, very good.
Much better.
Anyway, yes. Sorry, I just want to say that you spoke yesterday about coaching, life coaching. Are you still doing that, or you have stopped doing life coaching with people?
I don't do life coaching with people on a regular basis. Maybe once or twice a year. There might be someone that I really want to see if I can offer some assistance to. But if I opened myself to a practice, a regular ongoing practice of life coaching, the challenge for me would be I would have way too many clients, people who want to sign up, because, well, again, I don't know how to say this without sounding a bit gauche, but the truth is that millions of people, not a couple thousand, but a couple of million, have read the Conversations with God books. And I get requests from many of those people, even as things are, without me having a coaching practice. I get requests from people asking if I could offer them some assistance. So the answer to your question is no, I don't do life coaching.
And about your Monday talks, do you do it by Zoom? Monday talks in the evening.
What about them?
You have some
every Monday
evening,
yes.
A grouping on Monday evening. You said
yes.
yesterday.
Yes, 5:30 in the evening in California time. So that would be something like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, in London.
It would be just after midnight in London. Yeah,
yes.
5:30. Yes. So, but yeah.
Do you do it by Zoom, or how do you do it? By Zoom?
Yes, I do it by Zoom. Yes, I do, just like this.
All right. Okay. And how many hours does it last?
We do it 1 hour a week.
All right. Okay, 1 hour. Yeah. Fine. Okay, my issue that I want to speak to you is a bit unusual or not very common for the topic you are talking about. I find that it's a relationship that I want to improve my relationship with my environment. I had a few times that I've been, I have a very fearful belief that touching ground anywhere, especially in the street, is very dirty and yes, polluted, and especially now with the COVID and all. But before the COVID, I always carry that idea, that belief that I should not, I should protect myself from not touching the ground, the floor outside. So it has been happening that few times I've been falling over in the street or sometimes the roads are not very even or yes, not very well constructed. So I feel like I have like a traumatic experience, having to wake up, having to swap my clothes with the dust, and if I am far from home, I carry all this unwellness of uneasiness with myself during the day, that my clothes, my hands, they are dusty and dirty, and I just want, I know that it's a psychological problem. I know
Okay, so if you know
it's
it's a
something.
psychological problem.
I know, but at the same time, because I'm very spiritual, I've been reading your books.
No,
Lately, I'm reading Happier Than God.
you're not very spiritual, because if you were very spiritual, you may be
Oh,
spiritual.
thank you.
If
Yes.
if you were very spiritual, you would know that everything is holy ground, and I mean that as a poetic observation. Everything is holy ground, including the ground you walk on, including the very earth. There's hardly anything that is more sacred than Gaia, which is the name that we give to this planet. Our home, our planet is sacred ground, literally sacred ground. So if you were really very spiritual,
Well, I mean, I would like to. Apparently, I'm finding out that it's not that spiritual. I know that everything is divine, is sacred.
everything is
Yes,
holy. Everything is holy ground.
Holy ground. Yes, but this fear, this fear I had from yes, maybe
I don't
from
want
my
to hear.
parents, from the school.
I know all about everybody. It's a story. I don't know how many stories all of us have to hear. I'm not trying to make light of it, but I get all the stories. No, Neil, you don't understand. When I was 7, when I was 6, when I was 5, or it's a previous lifetime. It's story, 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 story. And because of all the stories that I'm carrying, this is how I am today. I can't even touch the ground, or I can't allow someone to be away from me. I can't be alone, or I can't listen to a guitar because someone hit me over the head with a guitar when I was 9, or whatever, and I'm making it up now because I want you all to see what we're doing to ourselves with our story, which has nothing to do with who you are right now. But I know that if I pull that rug out from under you, I know that if I don't let you live into your, Neil, you don't understand. It's my story. Don't take my story away. If you knew what happened to me when I was 4 or 7, you would understand why I'm afraid of the ground. But what I want to say in response, as the beginning of today's program, is if you really choose to have a healthy relationship with everything, including the earth, to say nothing of other people, then you are going to need to come to this moment right now. And you're going to need to let go of your story and come to a realization that that was then and this is now. That doesn't make the story not true. That doesn't make the story invalid. It's a true story. It actually happened. Maybe even a past life. Maybe it even actually happened. But since we're getting into buts today, yeah, buts, yeah, but that was then, and this is now. And if you're going to allow then to have total control over your now, the game is over before you begin. You can't win because you can't change. See, here's the deal. Here's the deal. You can't change what happened then. You can't go back and erase the blackboard. You can't go back and change what happened then. You can hold it in an entirely different way, but you can't change it. That's what happened. That's what happened. And only you can decide whether it matters now or not. So, yes, I lose a little patience with people who tell me, you don't understand. You don't understand. It's what happened, 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, or 50 years ago, or 70 years ago. You don't understand. But I understand perfectly. I can only say, stop it. Don't do that anymore. Live.
So I should change my perception of the ground.
Of course. Of course. You know what some people do?
Of the dirtiness.
You're not going to believe this, my friend, but you know what some people do?
Germs.
Do you know what some people do when they've been away from home for many years and they're finally go back home? They get off the airplane. They've been away from their home country for like 10 or 18 years, and they get off the plane. You know what some people do? They actually kiss the ground. I've seen people get off of airplanes and actually kiss the ground because they're so happy to be home. So yes, of course, just change your idea. The earth is a sacred, sacred place. And the ground itself is sacred material that creates home for all of us. That's my idea. And I'm not willing to give up my highest idea. You know how many? Do you know how many of my own childhood? I shouldn't say childish. Do you know how many of my own childhood traumas I've had to let go in order to believe my highest idea about God and life today? But I'm going to believe my highest idea today, and I'm not going to let yesterday rob me of today, because it has total control over my mind. Neil, you don't understand. You don't understand. I can't help myself. I think we can all help ourselves. But I know that if we allow ourselves to imagine that we can help ourselves, there goes our story. And so that's where I start. Where I start when I work with people is, where would you be without your story? Where would you be without your story? Good question.
In a better place.
In another
mentally.
place.
In a higher place mentally.
Yes, so the ground is really wonderful, even in England. Now, I know it's not exactly the way it is in Spain.
Yeah, babies are all the time on the ground. Babies and children.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Yes, I know, but it's this. I know it's psychological. I have to do a CBT or something that help me. But I know that you can help me to sort it out. This fear, spiritually, in the way you help, you advise.
Thank you for calling in, my friend. It was nice to talk with you today.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Here's Kata, who has her hand up. Kata or Kata, how do you pronounce your name? Is it Kata?
Kata. My full name is Katalin, but my friends call me Kata. So
Okay, Kata. Kata, where do you live?
I live in Norway, but I'm from Hungary.
Okay. Kata,
Yes.
how can I be of service to you today?
Well, Neil, there are no coincidences. Yesterday, all of the stories I heard was very touching and speaking to me. But there were still, like, I felt like one part which nobody addressed. So I thought I will talk to you. Maybe you can help me shed some light on it. So just a little bit of what I have been doing so far. So I'm a yoga teacher, and I have immersed myself into self-study and exploring, unlearning, discovering all the traumas that I have, as a child went through, and then I blame my parents for. But I feel that there are still a lot of work to do, and my question right now is not about romantic relationships because, so far it hasn't been very successful. So I decided I will take some time for myself to get to know myself, establish myself, and not to be so like sure and secure about myself, so that I wouldn't give up my spiritual practice for a relationship or for a guy or for his schedule. So that side is okay. Right now I'm just focusing on myself. But the other thing is, I have lost my job in January, which I don't mind. It's a very great time to be a little bit alone and focus on myself, but I still need to look for a job. And so this is my other thing. When I am with my friends or my family or in a relationship, I can so-called behave. But when I'm together with co-workers, I feel like I come across, and I don't feel like it's been said, that because I like asking questions, understanding why I'm doing, what my part is, that they perceive me as I'm argumentative, or I know it more or better than them, because I I like making things more simpler. I just kind of feel like if a system doesn't work, there is a way to find a solution to it. And I sometimes get stuck on it, and I don't really give up until people try to understand what I'm trying to say and do. So it's a kind of a challenge, and it's a little bit, I feel like I am looking for a job, but here deep inside I'm kind of holding back, and I don't really want to find a job because I don't really want to get into conflicts again in a job place. So yeah, that would be one of the things. And because I also work with people through my yoga teaching and lifestyle coaching, it's kind of a little bit of contradiction, because I work with people, but in the meantime, and when I'm in charge, like, right, I'm on the top of the class and then I'm teaching people, that's okay. But when I have to be working with someone where there is a boss and there is an authority above me, then my whole system collapses. Then I can't function in there.
Then why don't you, well, first of all, let me ask you, do you get paid for being a yoga teacher?
Yes, I do. At the moment, it's unfortunately not scalable. It's not sustainable enough. So while I'm building that one up, I need another steady income. And because it's Corona, everything is closed down here. So and that little I teach,
but you can teach yoga online.
I do, yes, but it's still not. It's nearly not enough for anything. So yeah.
Yes,
it could grow, and that's the plan. It's just that takes time and time.
So, well, the answer for you, as I see it, Kata, is number one, honesty, total authenticity, total transparency. So if I was applying for a job, I would say to people, I really do well when I'm given responsibility, and I really do well when I feel I have authority over what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So if you're looking for a person who doesn't need to have minute-to-minute instruction. If you're looking to a person, try to find somebody to work with you who doesn't require somebody hovering over them to make sure they're doing it right, and doesn't require someone giving them minute-to-minute advice on how to do it. If you're looking to someone who's a self-starter and a self-initiator and who operates on one's own authority, then I'm your person. I'm the person for you, because I am very willing to take full responsibility for whatever you need to have done. And then if you are hired, if you ever work again for another organization, to also say to, even if you have someone, who's supervising, someone above you, as you put it, in the organization, when you have something to say, to just be transparent as well, to say, before you offer your suggestion or before you make your observation, actually before you say anything, to say to the other people, especially if they are above you in the organization, to say to them, I would like to, would it be okay with you? How would you feel if I simply offered an observation or a suggestion regarding how we're doing this system, how we're handling what it is you're asking me to handle? Would it be okay with you if I offered a suggestion or maybe asked a couple of questions? Why are we doing it that way? Because I don't want you to feel that I'm being critical. I don't want you to feel that I'm being, disloyal to the organization or that I'm making anybody wrong. I want to add value. I truly want to add value to my being here, but I don't want to do that if it's going to make you feel that I am being critical or making somebody wrong. If somebody came to me with that, and I was a manager or a supervisor in a company, I would say, well, fair enough. What do you got? What do you have? And I wouldn't be offended. I wouldn't feel criticized. I wouldn't feel made wrong. And even if I did not agree with what they were saying, I would say, well, thank you for bringing me that suggestion. But it's just about how we communicate what it is we want to say. If we simply just blurt out a question, why do we do it that way? Why don't we do it this way? Why do we do it that way? That wouldn't work. But in most cases, that would not work because there's a very good reason, or they think there's a very good reason why they're doing things a certain way. So I would never ask, questions like that, and I wouldn't offer suggestions until I made sure it was okay with the people that have hired me and who are supervising me. But I'm like you, Kata. I'm very much like you. I don't like to work for other people. I want to be my own authority. So while you are maybe looking for another job and doing it in the way that I've just suggested, while you're doing all of that, I would begin doing whatever you can to expand your online yoga class and also to offer it. You're about the fifth person now I've told this to. I think there are 4 other people that I suggested to do, because you're in a perfect position to offer some life coaching. If you already have 2 or 3 yoga students, then you can get 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 yoga students or more, and then to offer to do life coaching as well online, just like we're doing here. But try to find a way, Kata, to live your life, to create your life with you being in charge, with you having full authority and total control over what you're doing. That's what I do in my life.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm doing that. I do health and lifestyle coaching. So I do have 1 or 2 clients.
Well, then make it not 1 or 2 clients. Make it 8 or 10 clients.
Yes,
And then you won't have any problem.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the goal. And just because I'm a kind of person who likes stability, financial stability in her life, and right now I don't have it in that form that I would like to. I mean, we do get a unemployment benefit from this country, so it's actually I'm not on the street. I get by, um, but making so that part of me is a little bit every day is tiny bit little voice there that you have to do something about it. And I'm focusing because now I have all the time in the world, focusing on expanding my yoga and my lifestyle coaching. But because I get the benefit, I am expected to do the job and then look for jobs.
Well,
Um,
go ahead. Then just go ahead and look for jobs.
and
And
uh,
yeah.
I just feel like I self-sabotage myself with,
Well,
having
stop it.
this.
Just stop it. Thank you for noticing that you sabotage yourself.
Yeah,
I'm glad you noticed that, but just stop it. It's not something that's not controllable. You people who work with me, and I'm sure those of you who have been with me now all day yesterday and this morning are starting to get the picture. I don't I don't see people as being uncontrollable, that they can't control their own behaviors. So when someone says to me, the challenge is my own behavior, the challenge is my own behavior, then I simply say to them, oh, good. I'm glad you see that. Just stop it. Just change your behavior. Then people usually say, no, Neil, no, you don't understand. I can't change my behavior. If I could change my behavior, I would, but I can't. I'm a person totally out of control, out of control, out of control, out of control, out of control. And I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. You're a pretty bright, smart, intelligent young woman.
thank you.
And if you have a behavior that's stopping you and sabotaging yourself, then just don't do that anymore.
I will do my best to not do that anymore.
And you can have a dozen coaching clients in the next week and a half.
Yeah.
You can have coaching clients all over the place. So have fun with your coaching clients. Let them enjoy you. Let them enjoy themselves. Let them find the really fulfillment they're looking for in life, and they will recommend you to others. And then 2 will turn into 4, and 4 will turn into 8, and 8 will turn into 16. And by June, you could have so many coaching clients that you don't have time to do a job, even if you were given a job by some outside organization. Then you can get off of government assistance and move forward with your life, even without being able to do classes in person, doing online classes and online coaching. But when you do online coaching, don't let anybody tell you that they can't help it. I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't stop it. I can't stop it. Don't let anybody tell you that.
All right. Thank you. It was a great advice about the communication, and I will just stay here and listen and learn because I really like your style of being very honest, very straightforward, but you do it with a very soft way that it really gets deep. So I will just learn from you for today.
Well, you're very sweet and very kind to say that. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate
It's lovely to talk with you.
it. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I don't offend anybody. I don't want to ever hurt anybody's feelings or offend anybody. But my job is to just, how would I put it? Shake you awake. I'm going to write a book one day called Shake You Awake. It just sounds like a good title because sometimes I want to just grab you by the shoulder. Have you ever wanted to just grab somebody by the shoulders and just shake them a little bit? Not hurt them, but just kind of shake them a little bit and say, hey, I want to shake you awake. Cut it out. Don't do that anymore. Okay, here's Shanna, or is it Shana? How do you pronounce your name?
Shani.
Oh, Shani. See, I never get it right the first time. Shani. Okay, Shani.
How are you doing, beautiful human God? You brought me freedom, you know that. Last time we spoke, but I just gave you one word and you elaborated on it. This book of yours changed my life, and I want to just read in connection with the atmosphere of how you started, Neil. A love that possesses rather than releases, a love that limits rather than expands, a love that owns rather than disowns, a love that makes virtually everything around it smaller rather than making everything around it larger. We've created an experience of marriage that has nothing to do with love in far too many instances. This is what gave me freedom, because I was married 25 years, and thank you for this book, and I love you. And that's what I want to say.
Well, you're very kind.
I love you.
Thank you very much. That's very sweet, and I'm only grateful, honestly. Can I say something to all of you? I know that many of you have had positive experiences from the messages in the books that have been given to me to write. Let me just take 30 seconds here to tell you something. I have no education. You know, I did not graduate from college. I didn't even go to college, much less graduate. I was in college about 3 months, and they threw me out. They said, you know, unless you're ready to study, we need the seat that you're taking for somebody who's really serious. So I was tossed out of college in my first month, and I never went back. So I don't have any advanced degrees. I don't have any degrees. I don't have any formal education beyond high school. So I'm telling you this so you understand that the information I'm sharing in books like Shani just showed us, Applications for Living, the information that you see in the 39 books that I have produced is not from me. It's from the source of higher wisdom and greater understanding that exists within all of us, every single one of us, if we are willing to access and trust that information. So I want to say thank you, God. Thank you, God, for allowing me to bring to others the information that you have made available to all of us. And thank you for allowing me to play a role in other people's lives that has sometimes made their lives better. And I want to end my little speech here by telling you that you have access to the exact same information. And if you will give yourself permission to know that you have that access, to know that what I call God lives within you and will always provide you with what you need to know in any given circumstance. If you will give yourself permission to know that, you will experience it. And once you experience it, you'll never go back to the old way of living. You simply won't. Okay, Michelle has her hand up. Michelle, how can I serve you today?
Yeah, it was, can you see me? I don't know if that worked. Oh, hi. Yeah, it was just very quickly, obviously things were quite interesting yesterday after we spoke. But there was one thing that I particularly wanted to tell you in regards to something you said to somebody else, which was to celebrate the pain. And I don't remember who you said that to, but I wrote it down in big letters on my notebook, to celebrate the pain, because that was kind of an interesting idea at the time. And last night I started to go back into the very familiar pain of the idea of separating again. Obviously, you know, it's been 10 years of on and off again. And instead of losing myself in that, I decided to celebrate it. And I started to tell myself all the reasons why the pain was a good thing. So, you know, things like it meant that I was alive, that it meant that the last 10 years hadn't been a waste of time, that I still cared, that I still loved him despite everything else, that there was still, you know, so I just told myself all these different reasons why it was a good thing. And normally, you know, the only way to get away from the pain would be to fall asleep, or to just zone out in some way. But this time it passed really, really quickly. And yeah, and that was that. It didn't last nearly as long as it would normally have. So I just wanted to say, if anybody was listening yesterday and the whole celebrate the pain just seemed a really bizarre concept, because it did to me at the time, that yes, it really works. So that's just what I wanted to say.
I'm very happy to hear that, Michelle, and I'm even happier to know that some small, recommendation that I made has worked for you. Let me share something with you. When a person comes back from battle, man or woman who had a uniform on, and then they come back from battle, a battle in which they've been very heroic, what do? We put a medal on their chest. We put a medal on their chest so that everyone can know that they've been heroic in the line of duty. So you're right. It is a bizarre idea, but maybe it's not such a bizarre idea. Maybe it makes total sense for us to put that badge on our own chest and say, you know what? I have acted heroically, and I have done what it made sense for me to do, and I'm proud of myself for who I am and who I have been, and proud of myself for who I will be. And then I can celebrate, just as you said, celebrate all the pains of my life, not just this particular, but all of the pains of my life. You know, if I made a list, Michelle, with you, if we sat down over lunch and just made a list of all the failures or the disappointments or the sadnesses or the pains that I've had in my life, and I'm 77, we wouldn't get ever through lunch. I mean, the list would be as long as your arm. Only by going over that list and being able to celebrate it can I come to a place of not just painlessness, but also peace and joy and happiness. All those things that have occurred have added up to create the me that I am now. And you know what? I like me. And you should like you. They don't come much better than Michelle. You're on the top shelf. You're on the top shelf of human beings. And all of us are, when we see ourselves as who we truly are, demonstrations of divinity. So thank you for coming here and sharing that today. And I'm glad that you were able to experience that yesterday.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Very exciting. Gary is next with his hand up. Gary, if there was a way that we could be of service to you today on this program, what would it be?
Hi, Neil. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you perfectly, Gary. Thank you.
I just want to say what a wonderful space this is to sharing, and thank you for setting up such an amazing place to do it. What I want to talk about is very this whole thing with what Michelle's gone through is very similar to what I've gone through, where I've changed location when I've changed relationship. And this all started when I left my mother and father when I was 27. So I didn't leave home till I was 27, I was ashamed to say. And that seemed to trigger. What I did, I went from not paying any rent at all to buying a property. And then after 2 years, when the stock market crashed, I lost the property. I then ended up with nowhere to live. I ended up wandering around. Eventually came back to my home place, my home county in Kent, in England. And this set off a chain of events. And it's like Michelle said, like, I couldn't believe it when she said she'd moved 20 times in 10 years. I thought, well, that beats me, because from when my marriage fell apart in 2007, I was married for 14 years. And it was incredibly traumatic to leave 2 kids and the dogs and all my stuff and everything, you know, and just leave that all behind. And it brought it all back, sort of thing. So from 2007 to 2017, I moved 15 times. And it always ended up where I moved when a relationship came to an end, another relationship, I moved on. It's always me moving out. And that's the fascinating thing. I moved out when I was 27. And then, like, it seems to be on the 7th. There we are, 2007. My marriage fell apart. And then another 7, 2017. It's sort of like it slowed down, calmed down. And I stopped all this constant moving around and around. And I'm just wondering what you feel about, is this a connection? It's like I keep getting this thing of home. Because I've had this confusion with where you live, your house, we've been somehow lost when you leave that. And then trying to find that again in a relationship with a home. So I just wondered what that is, because I had a very unsettled life. And I so related to Michelle when she said that, my God, you know, that relationship is all dependent on where you're living. And I've had that myself. And it's always been me has been the one that's moved out. I just wonder what you... It's sort of an unhealthy relationship with, well, I mean, it's letting go, isn't it? It's letting go of relationships. But I just wonder what you think that is. It's been a big part of my life.
Gary, I think the biggest challenge that I have faced in my life has been finally becoming aware of why I'm here in this physical body. I too, when my relationships ended, was always the one to leave. I don't mean that I was the one to say it's over, I'm leaving. Often that was a kind of a joint decision, but I was almost always the one to pack up and find some other place to be. I did refuse to leave locations a lot, but I have also, I didn't live in 20 different locations or 15 different locations. I mean, cities or areas, but I certainly did live in enough different houses and enough different apartments. So I understand what all of you are saying. Michelle, excuse me, I understand what Michelle was saying. Gary, I understand what you're saying. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out to buy, I used to make a joke of it. Excuse me, I used to make a joke of it. How many times have I gone out and bought a whole new set of silverware, knives and forks? You know, how many times in my life have I had to reestablish, and go out and just get a few plates and get a few items so that I could have a kitchen that made sense? How many times am I going to have to do this in my life? So I used to make a joke about it. I should just open a store and just have all this stuff available whenever I wanted to reestablish myself physically. But so I think it's a common experience. I don't think that Michelle and you, Gary, are the only one of us, or me, to have had this this encounter with life, reestablishing ourselves physically in a new place. Here we go again. Buy another set of napkins, buy another set of silverware, buy another set of plates and cups and glasses, buy another pillowcase, buy another radio, because you don't take every single thing with you. So you start all over again, and then you start all over again, then you start all over again, then you start all over again. And finally, if you're listening to God, she says, has it occurred to you that what you're starting over and starting over and starting over has nothing to do with why you did the big start over? The big start over is this reincarnation. Why did you choose to start the whole experience of your physical self? Why did you choose to start over? You were perfectly happy on the other side, so to speak. You were perfectly happy in the spiritual realm, if you will. And yet you came back. Again, talk about having to buy a new set of dishes. You came back again, once more into physicality. And you started over. Neil, you started over 77 years ago. Why? Why did you start over? Again, another relationship with who? Oh, I see. Now I understand why I keep starting over in a new place, in a new way, with a new face and a new body and a new life. Because if you think about it, Gary, it's the same thing. We're starting over. And it's what I call the big start over. I mean, a really big time starting over. And if I don't understand why I'm here, why I'm starting over and starting over and starting over 675 lifetimes, if I don't understand what I'm doing, I will keep on doing it in a way which is not joyful, in a way which is not fulfilling, in a way which is constantly causing me to wonder about the same questions over and over again. Why? Why? Why do I keep doing this dance over and over again? So, Gary, my thoughts about your story and my thoughts about, frankly, Michelle's story and my thoughts about my own story. My thoughts are that once we understand and change our mind about why we're here and what we're doing on this planet, I mean, what we're doing in this body, I mean, then the smaller matters, who are we going to be with, what will be our job, our career, how will we make money, what kind of diet should we have, what kind of clothes should we wear blue shirts or tan shirts or brown shirts, how should I comb my hair, who should I be with tomorrow, all of these things. You know what's interesting, Gary? None of it will matter. All of it will become almost irrelevant. I wrote a book, Gary, a few years ago. You may enjoy reading it. It's called The Only Thing That Matters. Folks, if you haven't seen that book or if you haven't read it, you want to read it. Again, the book is called The Only Thing That Matters. And the first paragraph of that book, I think I quoted it yesterday, but I'm going to quote it again today. The first paragraph of that book says, 98% of the world's people are spending 98% of their time on things that don't matter. And that's why they keep starting over again. That's why we have relationship after relationship after relationship. And we leave and we start over again, go out and buy a brand new set of silverware. Here we go again. I started to get the really cheap stuff because I kept on buying silverware so often. I got tired of spending $300 for a set of silverware. I went to Cresco, I went to Costco, and I got a set, for $26 because I got tired of buying expensive silverware. So when you see, even Anna Maria understands perfectly what I'm saying. She's laughing. She's going, he's had my experience. So Gary, my thoughts are, change your mind, change your life. Somebody wrote a book by that title. Was it Wayne Dyer? Somebody wrote a wonderful book by that title. Change your mind, change your life. And what I want to say is change your mind about who you are and why you're here. And if and when you do that, everything else will settle down. It's amazing. Everything else finally settles down. That's been my experience.
Can I just clarify what you said yesterday? It's just really, it's just what you said. We teach what we have to learn.
Yes.
Can you just clarify that for me? Because it's almost like it's back to front for me. We teach what we have to learn.
We do. That's true of every great teacher in the world, whether you're a college professor or the Pope. We're teaching what we have to learn. That's true. And if we understand that, we won't be tempted to move into our ego, thinking that I know more than anybody else. I'm certainly glad I'm teaching this topic because I know more on this subject than anybody else. No, I teach what I have to learn. And here's what's interesting, Gary, about that. When I'm willing to teach what I have to learn, I can call on the resource that exists within me. I can call forth an answer that sometimes I didn't even know existed. Gary, I've talked to audiences all over the world. I'm not bragging, I'm just telling, I'm just saying. I've talked to audiences all over the world. Small audiences, 35, 40, 50 people, large audiences, 300 or 400 people, or huge audiences, 15,000 people at the Miami Convention Center a few years back. And I went out there and there were 15,000 people waiting to hear what I had to say. That'll make a person a little bit nervous, but I had to realize, what? I'm going to just come from what I don't even know I know. What I don't even know I know. That is, I'm not aware of the total reservoir of wisdom that lies within me. Only when somebody asks me a question, somebody in the audience asks me a question, and then I suddenly come up with an answer that surprises even me, that I even surprise myself. Now, Gary, I'm betting, I'm going to wager that everyone has had that experience in their life, at least once, where someone asks a question or there's a problem to be solved, and we surprise ourselves with how much wisdom is deep within us, but we've called it forth. We've just called it forward spontaneously. So we teach what we have to learn. And by being willing to step into seemingly not knowing, we discover how much we really know. Thank you for calling, Gary. Nice to talk with you. I hope I've answered your interesting questions. Lawrence is back with us. Lawrence, tell me everything.
Yes, Neil. You're shaking my shoulders yesterday, remember? And I was not happy with it.
I know, I'm sorry.
And now I want to thank you because I'm sure that's what I needed. And I'm sure that's what I was looking for yesterday. And I finally understood that it's my decision to let my story let go. And which is very, very important for me is that I understood that I am in an healthy relationship with my husband, and that I don't want. I want a pure love relationship, which is not based on need and unhealthy platform, like I understood we are now. So you said yesterday, I dare you both join me on Zoom to talk about your marriage. But you know, my husband is really a rational guy who likes facts and evidence. And if I say to him, would you like to be counseled by Neil? He said, the guy who speaks with God? You're joking, right? So I think he won't accept your challenge. But my answer is, can I work with you alone to deal with my own part in this relationship, to make it more healthy?
Of course you can. Yes, I would be very happy to do that. And I don't want anyone ever to feel abandoned or alone, you know, or without resource. I don't want anyone to feel that way. So the answer is, of course you can. Just send me an email and we can make all the arrangements that would be necessary for that to happen. You know my email address? Do you know my email address, Lawrence?
Yeah, I already
read
to you, but I got no answer.
When did you write to me? When was that?
Just after the last retreat, but perhaps I made a mistake in the email address. I don't know, because I know you always answer to emails, so perhaps I made a mistake in the email
you
address.
have to. I really do try to answer all the email that I get. So if you didn't get an answer, it was a genuine mistake. But my email address is NEALE, which is at neildonaldwalsh.com. And you have to spell my name correctly. My last name is spelled a little unusual as well. So you have to make sure it's just the way it is on the cover of the book.
Yeah.
And then,
I will try again.
Yeah, try again. Try again, because I try very hard not to miss answering. I know
that.
Okay, good.
I know that. So I just wanted to thank you, because I realized I can decide, and it will be my decision, even though this story is true. I don't care. I don't want this story to impact my life and my relationship with my husband now.
Good.
I understood that.
It's a good place to start then. Good place to start. I'll wait to hear from you.
I just wanted to express that with
Thank
you,
you.
and to thank you. And by the way, I love the way you say raison d'être et déjà vu.
I don't say it right. Raison d'être.
No, you say with your American accent.
Yeah, raison d'être.
And it's funny for French people.
I'm sure it is.
To hear about raison d'être et déjà vu.
Should I say raison d'être?
Yes, yes, yeah, right.
Is that better?
Great.
Okay, from now on, I will say raison d'être.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You can give me French lessons, and I'll give you life lessons.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Neil.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Right.
By the way, vous êtes très jolie.
But you don't have, if you say something like that, or you don't look like your age, if you say to this thing to every girl, it will be less credible.
Yes, I know that. I've learned that through the years. Thank you, my friend. I'll look forward to.
Okay. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah. You know, I love the whole idea of déjà vu. I don't know how to say it properly, but it's a wonderful concept. We've seen this before. You know, I've seen this before. I've done this before. I'm sure many of you have had the experience of what's called déjà vu. I've seen it before. I've done this before. There's a wonderful Broadway show, a New York theater show from many years ago called Babes in Arms. And in that show, there was a wonderful song that talked about that experience. And the lyrics go like this. He sings to her, "It seems we've stood and talked like this before. We looked at each other in the same way then, but I don't remember where or when. The clothes you're wearing are the clothes you wore. The smile you are smiling, you were smiling then, but I don't remember where or when. Some things that happen for the first time seem to be happening again. And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before. But who knows where or when? Beautiful song and a beautiful idea. And when you've had that experience with another person, when you really have had that experience, it seems we've met before and laughed before and loved before. But who knows where or when? When you've had that experience, you know you have found a very, very special relationship. Becky and Sue are here. Anna Marie is here. Stacy is here. Mo is here. Mirko is here. Corinne is here. Kathleen, Chris, Catherine, Shanaz, Jovan. We will get to as many of you as we possibly can. Hopefully all of you before this day is over. But Becky and Sue have their hand up and they're next in line. Becky and Sue, welcome back. How may I be of service? How may I be of service to you today?
I have a question. Yeah, thank you, Neil.
You know, your internet signal is a little unstable
So
today.
in the
Your
process of this, am I cutting out?
your internet service is a bit unstable today. Are you in a different room or a different place, or?
No, it's just like that.
Oh, yeah.
Are we coming through okay?
You are in the moment. Let's hope that it holds.
Okay, okay. So my question is, in becoming, in learning the detachment, and learning how to detach with love, and also becoming unattached to the outcome of situations, relationships, I'm finding myself in an interesting uh, emotional position that I'm not quite sure um, what it is, and how, it's kind of hard to express, but um, when I'll use the relationship with my son as an example. um, I've detached from the outcome of that relationship, detached with love, but sometimes it feels like what I used to do, which is detach emotionally. The emotions that I used to have connected with relationships, they've dissipated, the charged emotions or the attached emotions. So sometimes I wonder, where is that? So
Is it problematical?
I'm just confused.
You know,
No, it's not problematic.
Sometimes when at least in my experience, sometimes when I detach or, just allow myself to be not quite as emotionally caught up in the dynamics of any relationship, it sometimes feels a little bit like emotional separation, that I just don't have those feelings, certain feelings anymore.
Right.
But that's not problematical with me because I know better. So even if I don't feel in that moment or during that particular period that feeling of, love inside of myself, I know better.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I really love that person, and I'm simply kind of like modulating my energy, I want to say.
Okay.
It's not like I've turned the radio off, so to speak, but I've maybe turned the volume down a bit. So I'm modulating the energy as a means of interacting with all aspects of the relationship in a way that works for me. Because sometimes if my energy is not modulated, if I'm loving, full out, and I'm allowing myself to feel that energy of love at the highest possible level, then even a look across the room can hurt my feelings.
Right.
And so I've learned to, and then there are times when I want to be at that high level of receptiveness and want to be at that high level of modulation. There are times when I desire that, but when I find myself reacting, and reacting is an interesting word. It's like to act as I did once before, to react. When I find myself acting as I did before, and in ways that were not healthy for me and not joyful for me, then I usually, I think I've got the shades open too wide. I've got to pull the shade down a little bit or close the blinds a little bit because it's too bright. There's too much energy coming at me. And so I may pull back a little bit and turn down the energy. And I'm not turning it off.
Right.
And I'm not turning off of that person, but I am just closing the shades a little bit, pulling the blinds a little bit so that I'm not so blinded by the incoming energy that I'm experiencing. which, by the way, can be no energy at all. I mean, what I'm trying to say is sometimes not receiving the energy back that I hope to receive is more energetically disposing of me than if I were receiving the energy back. Or to put it another simple way, to be ignored by another is just as powerfully impacting. Excuse me. Some reason I'm sneezing today. I guess everything I'm saying must be true. Yeah. But so I just have really learned. I have really learned to modulate my energy, and I still don't do it successfully all the time, but I do more successfully now than I used to, and I don't really allow myself to think, oh, I don't love them anymore. It's quite the opposite. It's because I love them so much that I've learned how to modulate the energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That really hit home.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then can I ask one more question?
Sure.
You were talking about the deja vu, and in this path that we've been on, and learning and non-resistance and surrender and everything else that goes along with that, been noticing a lot more deja vus, and we don't dismiss them at all, because a lot of times they come along with, we'll call them downloads or messages that we get. So your opinion and your experience with deja vu, what is it? Did it really happen?
Yes, I believe. Yes, I believe that we have lived this particular lifetime
I do too.
more than once, and I think that I was told in the book Home with God that sometimes we allow ourselves to come back and live the same lifetime, so to speak, over again, just tweaking and changing little things to give ourselves a chance to experience particular encounters in a somewhat different way. Like maybe we might, I'm just going to make it up now, just as an example. Maybe we might experience the death of our father a little differently than we did when we came through the time tunnel the first time. So I'm a mystic. I have to admit, I am a mystic in the sense that I believe that I have lived this particular lifetime before. And the more I open myself to certain other aspects of my relationship, for instance, with M, my wife, the more I'm seeing, oh my gosh, I've had this exact moment before. I mean, you were standing right there in the kitchen holding that coffee in your hand and turning and looking at me just like that.
Yeah.
And it's very real, and I think it's very real because it's very true. And then the question is, why am I being presented this opportunity again? There must be something here. It could be a small thing, just what I said back or how I looked or whatever, but there are these tiny little adjustments that I'm allowed to make. It doesn't change the future or alter dramatically the life story, but it might change the vibrational content of a particular instant in time that allows me to expand and grow more fully into who I am and who I choose to be. And so I look at deja vu as a chance to make an adjustment that allows me to expand my vibratory expression of my true identity.
Thank you.
I just made all that up. But it's how I feel. No one's ever asked me that question specifically, but that's the answer that I come up with.
Wonderful. Thank you so much,
Thank
Neil.
you, Neil.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. We have Anna Maria, how may I serve you today?
Hi everyone. You hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Neil.
Hello.
First of all, I would like to say that you have already served me with your first CWG books, which came to me around 2016. And since then, together with my daughter, the two of us, we have tried our best to live by CWG. Well, in a society that believes otherwise, we are Filipinos. We come from, in the Philippines. It's a third world country, highly well religious. So anyway, for the last 10 years, I have been living half the time in New Zealand and half the time in the Philippines. My four children are in New Zealand. One is in the UK. So I am a school. I have founded a school. I'm the director and president of the school for the last 25 years. I always thought our heart was in the right place because I have always been promoted, goodness and love and excellence and all. So in the last few years, after CWG came my way, after my psychic friend was able to really impress on me the idea of love and enlightenment, and after meeting a Buddhist monk, very special Buddhist monk, the Master Cheng Yin, founder of the Chu Chi Foundation, it became clear to me that I'm supposed to, that or my destiny, my path is one of love, to be love itself. I'm clearly on it now. The pandemic has led me to it, thankfully. The pandemic has slowed me down. And I have taken up, aside from CWG, as proposed in CWG by God Himself, saying that Buddhism comes the closest in terms of what reality is, in terms of Deepak Chopra being the most eloquent on the planet today. So I read and studied and tried to live is a path of love. Now, I'm clearly on the path. Time has brought me, I'm actually in the US now. I just arrived 3 weeks ago, just following the nudgings of the universe without knowing why I came here. But I got a reading from my psychic friend anyway that I will find out what I am here for. Now I know, I see it now. It's a time of quiet. So I'm just home. I probably go out just 3 times a week for food. Just home, studying, contemplating, meditating. And I'm so thankful the time has led me to this retreat. I missed the last one in the business of my life in the Philippines. So happy to be here with you, Neil, with all of you. I see myself in all of your stories. So heartwarming how we can share openly. It's so heartwarming how Neil receives us all with care, attention, and love. Oh, I'm a crybaby, sorry. Anyway, it's also beautiful. So at this point in my life, well, this is not a question of a romantic relationship. It's probably more of a relationship with myself. So like Daniel, yesterday, Daniel, I'm supposed to write something too. And this is the new dream or the new vision for my school, Brightwood School. I have gone over chapter 9 of book 2, CWG. I always knew it in my heart how schools should do their thing. But of course, we are under the mandates of our departments of education, as all countries are. It is so hard to bring change to schools. I really would like to put in my new vision the teachings of chapter 9. But do I have the courage to even bring it out there? And I say to the world, this came from CWG. What did Michelle say earlier? No, Lawrence say earlier. Oh, the man who talks to God. I have tried it out a few times, and you're met with raised eyebrows. Really?
Yes.
That's so
You
sad.
think if you think that you are met with raised eyebrows, you ought to be me. You ought to live my life. Sweetheart, it's time for us to take our morning break. And I think it's a perfect time because I want you to have a little break as well. But I want you to come, don't go anywhere. I want you to, just take a little break, but come back to the screen because in about 20 minutes, I want to get closer to focus in on exactly what it is you'd like to ask me and see if there's some way that I can support you and serve you in this moment. So pull yourself together. We'll take 20-minute break. We'll all come back at 10 minutes before the hour. At 10 before the hour, we'll be right back. So take a little break, all of you.